All right. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mr. Beat, and this is my celebration of 50,000 subscribers. And I'm going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to do just a little bit of reflection and looking a little bit at some of the mistakes I've made, poking fun at myself a little bit. So it'll be pretty laid back. I have questions that have been submitted already on both YouTube and Twitter. No questions on Facebook. Facebook, I don't get that much feedback. Follow me on Facebook. But yeah, this is to celebrate 50,000 subscribers. I've been doing this YouTube thing for a long time. It started out as just a thing that I did with only my students in real life. I would only show my videos to my students in real life, and now it's mostly students that I have never met in person. So thank you to all of you for watching, and if you are a longtime subscriber, I especially want to thank you for sticking around for so long. Early on, I had a lot of mistakes, and I still have mistakes, as a matter of fact. Just that last video I released had mistakes in it, but I have made strides, and I appreciate your support. And if you've just joined me, over the last few months is really when I've seen a lot of growth with my channel. 2018 has been by far the best year yet, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes. I used to be able to keep up with all the comments. I can't do that anymore, unfortunately, but I try at least right after I release a video. So if you ever are trying to reach me and I don't respond, please don't take it personally. I just sometimes get a little busy with the real world. The real world, yeah, I teach high school in Kansas. I teach American history, actually AP American history and government and economics, and so that's what occupies most of my time during the school year. But yeah, that's why I look like I haven't got much sleep this week. But I just love doing this, okay, and I will do it as long as I can physically be able to. I wanted to I'm going to open up my channel, and I want to kind of do a little self-reflection here. I want to show you some things that I've noticed, and kind of I want to share the screen with you in a moment. Let's see here. I'm going to sort my videos by oldest. I was supposed to do this earlier. By the way, if you have questions for me, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will respond to them a little bit later. I should be doing this for about an hour or so, I'm thinking, or maybe longer. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so this is the new posted video. Let's see, this all looks different because all right, so I'm just going to go backwards. Let me go ahead and share the screen with you here and show you. We're going to look at. Oh, okay. Well, that's not there. That should be there, but it's not there. Application window? No, not just Google Hangouts. Your entire screen? Okay, my entire screen. Why not? Well, it's not working. Let's try this again. Application? No, you're not working there, are you? Google Hangouts. Why would I share Google Hangouts when I'm already sharing? See, that's what it looks like. Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll just go through and do it without showing you the screen. Yeah, you're messing up, aren't you? That's really sad. Well, I'll try it again a little later. My first video I ever posted, let me get back on camera here. Am I on camera? Oh, hi. Hi. My first video I ever posted was in 2009, and it was The Compromise of 1850. And it was a horrible video, did not go very well. I made it only for my 8th grade students that I was student teaching at the time. The reason why I made it was because I couldn't find a video out there that existed that was good enough. All I found were kind of crappy student project videos. No offense to those students, but they weren't very high quality. And I wanted something that was more engaging because The Compromise of 1850 isn't the most exciting topic for 8th graders, especially your typical 8th grader. And so that's what got me started with this. Now, that was 2009. I originally posted that on my personal channel, and so I posted a couple others on there as well. Took them down, and then 2 years later decided, oh, I'm gonna start posting these on a channel I call Mr. Beat. And that's when I noticed that other people were watching these videos other than my students in real life. And so then it was about 2011, 2012. Yeah, no, it was 2012. I started to maybe take it a little bit more seriously, put a little bit more effort into it instead of just messing around. I worked on my editing. I worked on my sound quality, especially. I upgraded with a new microphone, and I had already experienced recording music for many years, but video was still a relatively new realm. Now, people forget my background, my first degree when I started out of college, the first go round was in journalism. My first degree was in journalism. I worked in TV and radio. And so I made a documentary by myself in college the first go round. So it's not like I didn't have any experience, but in many ways it was new just because this is the first time I was making educational videos. All right, so let's see if I can, the screen share is working now. It's still not, so man, you're just gonna have to look at my face. All right, so yeah, then later I started posting my president songs. I have a song about every single president of the United States in American history, starting with George Washington, and I went in order, chronological. I ended up, recording all the way up to George W. Bush, where I rapped, and then that was a lot of fun. And then I recorded a song about Barack Obama a couple years ago, and after Trump is out of office, I will make a song about him. But these president songs, they were the first successful videos in terms of, instead of getting a few hundred views, I was getting a few thousand. And then I did my presidential election series. You could probably notice a pattern here. Like, it's always been really my niche to focus on American presidential history. That's just something I was always fascinated the most with growing up. And so I made a video for every single presidential election in American history, and I went in order again, chronological, from 1789 all the way to the present. And I got these videos done before Election Day 2016. I got the election of 2012 released the day before Election Day. Had a little bit of success on Reddit because I got to the front page doing an Ask Me Anything post. That was what got me a few thousand subscribers, but still, I was only like at 6,000 subscribers at that point. So this is the end of 2016. I'm still a pretty obscure channel. And then I do this new series called Supreme Court Briefs. Oh, by the way, throughout all of this, I have a few other videos as well. Like, I'm not just doing these series. I have videos about world history, even delve a little bit into, well, I mean, I used to teach world history, that's why, but I dive into economics a little bit, but American history is what I typically do. I like to branch out sometimes. But yeah, so and then Supreme Court Briefs was my new series that I started. This was beginning of 2017, and I'm still doing it. I have a new episode coming out next Friday. I'm not releasing one tomorrow, so this is going to be the video for the week, I guess. And yeah, I've also been doing this Compared series that's really kind of, I think, helped me more than anything. Compared is a series that's really about sneakily teaching geography to people. They don't even realize they're learning geography. Geography has actually always been my biggest passion. But basically, by comparing two locations, a lot of people like to watch that because I especially like to look at rivalries and looking at how people are always sizing themselves up to others, and so a lot of people really, I think, it was very clickbaitable, just saying, oh yeah, two states that you're going to compare, two countries, whatever. And so I think that's been driving my more recent success. So if you join me by one of those compared videos, I have a lot more content out there that's not related to that. Most of it is American history, but yeah, so now here we are, and I reached 50,000 subscribers recently. It's still a little shocking that this has happened, but here we are, and I wanted to poke fun at myself as well. So I make mistakes, okay? Let's just take my most recent video, my Saudi Arabia versus Iran video. Um, I got a couple things wrong in there. I mean, they weren't too big a deal. One example is apparently in Iran, it's it's not okay for women to go out in public without wearing a hijab. Uh, Technically, it is illegal. It's just not enforced very consistently. So that was where my misunderstanding was. Apparently, when I say Iran, I sound like a redneck from the Midwest. Nobody says Iran other than people that live around here in Kansas. I don't know. It's Iran, Mr. Beat. It's Iran. So yeah, I mispronounce things apparently. But the thing about that is, how do you know you're mispronouncing something when millions of other people around you are also saying it the same way? So I think there are multiple correct pronunciations. You can give me all the crap you want for that, but hey, you know, they're potato, potato, right? There's always going to be different pronunciations that are correct. Another great example of this is Appalachian Mountains. The vast majority of the country calls that range, that mountain range in the eastern United States, the Appalachian Mountains. But if you go to South Carolina, they call it, what do they say? They say Appalachian Mountains. I think I got that right. They don't say Appalachian. So I get so many comments about how I pronounce words, and I just can't win because then I make a lot of effort trying to find the correct pronunciation before I make a video, and I'll find like 10 different pronunciations, and 7 out of 10 is one way, 3 out of 10 is the other way. And people in the comments of if it's in the YouTube video, they're arguing about the correct pronunciations. I can't win. None of us who make these educational videos can win. We can do our best. I think a rule of thumb I'm going to do in the future is just going to try to go with the pronunciation that is local. What do the locals call it? And I made that mistake with not calling Iran Iran. Iran is, I would agree, it is the better pronunciation, unlike the redneck version that I use. So, all right, potato, potato. So yeah, other mistakes. Whenever I make a mistake, I try to pin it to the top underneath the video. But I don't mind people commenting and letting me know mistakes. Now, there are some times where people think that I'm wrong and they're wrong, and so oftentimes I just won't respond, or I get sick of responding like, "Dude, no, you're wrong. What can you do?" And that tends to happen a lot with my biggest video. That's another video that's really driven my success. That's the anti-Semitism video I made. I released this back in April of this year. Man, it seems so long ago. That was past school year. And it's called Why Do People Hate Jews? It's just meant to be a provocative title to get people to click on it. And they have. 1.6 million people have watched that video. And it's been controversial. It has almost as many dislikes as likes, believe it or not. It has tens of thousands of comments. The majority of those comments are anti-Semitic. And it's been discouraging. It's been disheartening. And I don't know. But at the same time, it's weird because it's helped my channel grow. So and it's funny how many people comment on that video just personally attack me. Like they just hate me. Like, first of all, they think I'm Jewish, and I think that's funny. I'm not, but meh. And I don't know. I just hope that things turn around with the world because that can. I try not to read those comments, but they keep popping up, of course, whenever I log in. So I think I want to go to questions now. It's time for questions. This is why you're here, right? It's Q&A. 50K Q&A. Let's do this, okay? I still can't share anything as far as the screen. All right, so I'm first going to go to Twitter. I've got Twitter. I had a few, and these most of the people that responded on Twitter are fellow YouTubers. All right. So first of all, we've got Will Fox. Oh gosh, can you even see that? That glare. That's so bad. Oh no. Yeah, you can't. Okay, sorry. Will Fox from the channel The Exploration. He asked me, which video are you most proud of? I'm most proud of probably the video I recently just made. Why Kansas hates Missouri, or you could also title that video "Why Missouri Hates Kansas." And I think I'm most proud of it because it's basically something that I consider myself very knowledgeable about. I know a lot about it. I didn't even have to research a whole lot, which was a little scary because you get a little cocky and you forget you might get a few things wrong, like pronunciations, which a couple people corrected me on. But no, I put a lot of effort into that. It's a 17-minute video. I call it the definitive Bleeding Kansas video. Anything you want to know about Bleeding Kansas, this is a great overview, and I put a lot into it. You can just ask my wife. In fact, I dragged my wife and my two daughters all around northeastern Kansas and northwestern Missouri filming. It was really important for me. Like, I live in this area, I should film live on location and show where these events actually happened. I think it's really cool to do that. I want to do that more in the future. Due to certain constraints, I'm not able to do that. But yeah, I would say that I'm most proud of that Why Kansas Hates Missouri video, which was a collaboration with Cypher from The Cynical Historian, who did a phenomenal job looking at why New Mexico hates Texas. So check those both out. And Will from The Exploration also asked, what's a video you've always wanted to do but haven't been able to do yet? I would say I wanted to do a history of every single state. So I did a history of Kansas. This was back in the day, like 2014, and I actually had former students help me write that one. Like, don't worry, I give them credit and a grade. But to do that for every state, I think would be a lot of fun. And I do a little bit of history with the compared videos, but not a whole lot. It's mostly just geography looking at now. And so I think I still would like to in the future to do a history of every state and even of every country, but I'm finding that there's other YouTube channels that are starting to pop up, especially ones that are doing histories of countries that are just doing a great job. And so I'm like, well, maybe I wasn't meant to do that. All right. And oh yeah, he says the beat goes on. I thought that was funny because my side project, my other YouTube channel, is called The Beat Goes On, and I just released a new video about the movie School of Rock. So go check it out if you haven't. Subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 over there. All right, Cogito. I always mispronounce it. Sorry, man. He has another fantastic channel. I'm actually going to be doing another live stream with him Sunday about Columbus because of Columbus Day coming up on Monday. But he asks, have you used other YouTubers' videos in your classroom? If so, which one? And also, I got a similar question from Willie Rates, who does the YouTube channel also Canubis Productions. Both of them, both Cogito and Willie, they have social studies channels. But both of them ask similar questions. Willie asks, do you show your videos in a classroom? Other We Create EDU creators videos, that's a kind of a collective of YouTube educators that all get together. It's actually, we call ourselves edutubers. So from different fields, science, math, social studies, humanities, arts, anything educational. Even there's like film and music on there as well that we all come together. It's a pretty cool group. If you make educational YouTube videos, you should check us out. It's We Create EDU. Anyway, both of them ask questions basically. Do you show your videos and other educational YouTube videos in the classroom? Yes. Why, yes, I do, of course. I show my videos, and my students, they kind of get sick of my face, and so it's like, oh, it's this guy again. Great. We see him here, now we see him on the screen. Well, it's like, but I don't know. I think some of them think it's secretly cool that I have this YouTube channel. they I don't make them watch a lot of my videos because honestly, I think there's other YouTubers out there who do a better job than me. Like I have a video about you know colonial America, but like, well, I think Tom Ritchie has a better video, so I think I'm gonna have him watch that one. You know, um, pretty much all of my YouTuber friends who make educational videos in terms of social studies, I've shown in my classroom at one point or another. I use a website called Edpuzzle, and so the students at my school have laptops, and so it's 1-to-1, so they are able to uh, watch the videos individually on their own Chromebooks, and so they can have headphones and tune in, and they answer questions as they watch the videos. And so that's usually how I incorporate it. Because if you just show the video in front of the class, that's usually time for them to kind of zone out. Some of them. So, but yeah, I mean, there's too many to. I mean, I shout out especially to Mr. Betts because Mr. Betts, I've been showing his music videos for my A-Push kids, my AP US history students, and they like him. They like his videos a lot. So yeah, shout out to Tim. All right, and Willie also asks, what do teachers look for in EDU content on YouTube? They look for content that matches the curriculum. They look for content that matches the state standards, but they look for content that is simple and engaging and not just a video of someone lecturing. And no offense to Khan Academy, but actually, I lied. A little bit of offense to Khan Academy, but a lot of your videos are boring, man. Like, work on your game. I can't believe they're so popular when a lot of their. I mean, sure, kids like the conversational tone, and I've tried to be more like that. Even if I write a script, I usually write a script, but I try to make it more conversational. But it's just monotone sometimes. There are times where in the videos they're just repetitive in a bad way. It's like, okay, and then they go off on tangents sometimes where like if you're trying to teach a kid stuff that's going to be on a test, get to the point, make it worth their while. Yeah, I just told you a little while ago I have a 17-minute video about bleeding Kansas. That's not so much for a test. That's for a kid to like dive in a little bit deeper. And I made a point for that video to be engaging so that they won't realize it's 17 minutes. But it's all about increasing attention, and there are ways to do that. Teachers, for the most part, I know teachers that they rarely show videos because a lot of the videos out there is just like, meh, what is this really adding? And I know this sounds weird, but I actually learn best when I read a book. That was a very that was scandalous what I just said. But yeah, like I love watching history videos. Don't get me wrong, but if I'm trying to like when I was getting through grad school, Crash Course was not going to cover it. Okay, like I had to open up one of those giant books and just dig in that way, take notes. All right, moving on to the next question. Stefan Milo, and his name's actually last name is Milo something that I can't pronounce it. I'm so sorry, Stefan. But Stefan is also going to be joining us for that Columbus live stream on Sunday. But he has a channel that's also fantastic. It's a history channel, and his question is, "What do your students think of your YouTube channel?" Like I said, I kind of hinted at this a little earlier, but some of my students think it's really cool. These are usually the ones who are on YouTube and they already are in that world. But a lot of my students aren't in that world so much. Or if they are, they're watching Smosh or something or PewDiePie and they're just like, they're not that deep in. And so, they say, oh, that's cute. You have 50,000 subscribers. All right, whatever. But I think the fact is that they're more surprised. Like, why would people watch this? Because I think history is boring. But that's one of the things that I hate hearing the most because I think history is not boring. If you know what history really is, it's about the past period, not just the past in terms of the government or dead rich white guys, but everyone. So if you don't like history, that means you don't like your past or your community's past. Just because your past isn't in a textbook or isn't in a curriculum doesn't mean it's not history. So everybody, I think, likes history, even if it's last week, okay? Throwback Thursday is history, for crying out loud. Come on now. Everybody likes history. They just gotta. And there's a lot of okay. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, a bit of a rant here, but there's a lot of bad history teachers out there. I mean, not bad, but just mediocre. You know, like they're not. You got to be passionate about it. If you're losing that passion, then why even be there? You're not getting paid much to be a teacher. You better have the passion. So that is, I think it carries over to like what you see in my videos carries over. Like every day, I get excited to go to work and to teach. And if there's ever a day where that doesn't happen anymore, then maybe I shouldn't be teaching anymore. But this is what I love to do. So I think the students they do for the most part think it's cool. Most of them is it's secretly cool. It's like meh. I mean, I bust out my guitar and sing songs to them, and they're just sitting there like, all right, whatever. So maybe they're just used to my weirdness and craziness. Okay. We have another question from, oh, I forgot her name, and she has one of those weird Halloween names on her Twitter. El Boo Lions. She's a fellow edutuber as well, but she says, "Is there a period of history that you could just never really get into?" Yeah, absolutely. Most of it. Yeah, most history I can never get into. You know, military history is huge on YouTube. Military history is what I think draws a lot of, especially young men, into history. I've always been like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, World War II is okay. I'm more interested though in like the social fabric, like how the culture, cultural history is my favorite. How cultures change. That's why I love learning about the 1960s so much, and 1970s, and even into the 80s. You see just such radical change in such a short amount of time. Or looking at the Enlightenment. I love learning about the Enlightenment. Incredibly dorky, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really that much into ancient Rome. Yeah, I know, right? I'm with shockers tonight. Like, can you believe this guy? Ancient. He doesn't like learning about ancient Rome or ancient Greece. Like, no, I prefer the 20th century. My favorite era is the Cold War. That's my favorite era to learn about and to teach. So, yeah, when anybody who says they like history, like, shout out to my sister. She will get me history books for Christmas, and I'm just like, thank you. I might never read this because this is not really the type of history I like. But she assumes that I like all history. I'm so sorry, Renee. Don't hate me. All right, moving on. We've got M.Laser. He's also going to be in on that live stream on Sunday about Columbus. This is an all-star cast we are putting together. M.Laser has a wonderful YouTube channel, and his question is, where did you get your higher education, and what was your GPA, and when you graduated? I have 3 pieces of paper that are called degrees. My first degree, as I said earlier, was in journalism. That was 2004 at the University of Kansas. I went back to school to become a teacher, got a degree in education at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and then went to grad school. I graduated a couple years ago, got a master's in history at Emporia State University. So 3 pieces of paper. That's the reason why I have so much student loan debt. And it's the reason why I'm so smart. See how, look at my big, beautiful brain. Look at that brain. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not that smart. But in fact, the longer I was in school, the more I realized how stupid I was. But that's okay. That's how it should be. All right, next question. This is from Kim from Socratica, another great educational YouTube channel, a fellow edutuber who I've had the pleasure of spending time with a couple times in Austin and LA. Yeah, Socratica, check it out. They don't have history videos. They delve into math and science. But yeah, she asks, who was a teacher who inspired you? I had a lot of kind of meh teachers, but one that stands out as one of the better ones that really inspired me was Mr. Emmett. Mr. Emmett in 7th grade. He taught me American history. The reason why was because of his passion and because he seemed to actually care about the content and care about us. He made us feel special. He also used to do really cool impersonations. Like I'll never forget his impersonation of John F. Kennedy. It just had the whole class like just laughing, and I don't know. And he, unfortunately, I found out later he retired from teaching pretty soon. Like he probably took his talents elsewhere that would pay them better. But he was pretty darn good. All right. Kim also asked, what's a teaching method you stole, borrowed, when you saw how well it worked? I would say that would be simulations where students pretend like they're doing role playing. They're pretending like they're characters in history. There's a curriculum called History Alive. TCI is the company, based out of somewhere in the United States, but they have really good lessons where the students are actually doing role playing and simulations. And so anytime I can incorporate simulations in my classroom, because it's all about engagement in my classroom. If the kid has his head on the desk, that's one of the worst things for me. I want them paying attention. I want them engaged. All right, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self as a student? I would say, this is look at me as an undergrad at the University of Kansas. I partied too much. Okay, let's just be real. Be real here. I did not balance my time well. Like I worked 20 hours a week. I had an easy job too. Like I worked at the rec center where I had downtime where I could work on homework, and I took 15 credit hours at most a semester. I mean, I should have had all this free time. And what did I do with the free time? I went around trying to, I'm not going to go into details, but I didn't manage my time well. So then I go back to school a few years later. By this time, I'm settled down. I'm married. I'm working on the education degree. I'm working full time, getting a pretty decent salary, working my butt off, going to school full time at the same time as I'm working full time. And I get better grades than I've ever gotten in my entire life. Straight A's. Okay. What does that tell you? Well, one thing I can tell you is I stopped playing video games. So telling my younger self, video games, meh, they're good, but they're addictive. And if you can't moderate that crap, then cut it out. After my PlayStation 2 got stolen, I basically gave up video games, and I gained a lot of time after that. My grades went up after that, actually, come to think of it. All right. And then she also asked, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self as a YouTuber? If I would have known how big YouTube would have been with education in 2011, then I would have put more effort into it. That's when around the time Crash Course was starting to take off. And I should have just put all my eggs in that basket, and I didn't. So I regret that. If I would have done that, then I think my channel would be a lot bigger today. So that's what I would say to such a younger self, my 30-year-old self, my 29-year-old self. All right, Interstate Kyle on Twitter asks, what YouTubers besides yourself do you watch? I watch a lot of political content and a lot of educational content. One of my favorite channels recently has been basically Counter Arguments is the name of the channel. I don't want to if I start naming a bunch of educational channels, I'm going to leave somebody out, and I don't want to. Maybe I should just list one. Okay, Jack Rackam. Jack Rackam has a history channel that is completely and totally and utterly underrated. Goodness, he only has 7,000 subscribers, and he has top-notch content. So I'll give him a shout out. But yeah, I do watch a lot of history YouTube channels. Got to see who my competition is. Know what I'm saying? Got to see my competition. All right. And Interstate Kyle also asked, all these people with multiple questions, man, well. He says, what's your favorite state that you visited? And is there any state or country you would like to visit someday? Yes, all of them. I would like to visit all of them. I'm not joking. I would. Good thing my wife likes to travel as well. I don't have the funds to do that, so I'm just waiting on that printing press of money that I have in my basement here to get going. But yeah, my favorite state I visited would probably be Oregon. I really enjoyed Oregon. That was a really cool place to visit. I like to go back. And as far as countries, I think I really want to visit both China and Japan. As far as if we're looking at, I mean, I think anywhere in East Asia would be really cool to visit. I think Hong Kong especially would be amazing. Um, as far as other continents, I've always wanted to visit Argentina. I don't know what it is about Argentina, but it seems like I don't know. I'm just I mean, my favorite country in the world other than the United States is Iceland. I like Canada as well, but so it goes United States, uh, Iceland, Canada. Those are my top three countries. I've never been to Iceland. So really, I think Iceland would be the first place I visit here, and I'm hoping to visit there sooner than later. Hopefully, I'll talk my wife into that. All right, Grant Hurst, who recently changed his YouTube channel to what is it? Something historian. Grant Hurst. What did you change your? I'm gonna look it up here. Oh, Casual Historian. Casual Historian. Check it out. I've collaborated with him. He asks, how do you decide on video topics? Well, I start with what do I need to make for my classroom in real life? What do the kids need that's not out there yet? Like the Free Soil Explained video. I'm just going to dump that right on my AP US History students. And then from there, I just go for, things that I'm curious about, things that I want to learn about. I'm being selfish. Now, my Patreon supporters, they also have a say. If you donate at least $3 or more per video, you get a video about a topic of your choice. And I've been a little bit behind in finishing those, so I want to apologize to my Patreon supporters. But I do have a bit of a backlog, and I'm still getting through those as well. But yeah, like it's three things here: curriculum based, so what the students have to know. Things that I want to learn more about. I'm just being selfish, like, hey, I want to learn more about this. I'm going to make a video about it. And then Patreon supporters, and they always have good ideas. It usually works out. It's usually a win-win. All right, I got a message here from. All right, so I know I'm going to get to your questions here soon. I'm almost done with the Twitter. I only have a couple more. All right, so should we reform? This is from Dave from City Beautiful, another wonderful YouTube channel. Should we reform the Supreme Court? Term limits, mandatory 60 votes to confirm in the Senate, more justices. I think, yeah, we should. I do like the fact that it's lifetime appointments, that they don't have to worry about getting elected. I don't want them to become political. It's already become way too political in recent years, as evidenced by Kavanaugh. He seems extremely political. Term limits, I think there's some merit to that. But if you're going to have term limits, have them be long terms, like at least maybe 20 years. So I'm thinking. Franklin Roosevelt, the more I learn about him wanting to pack the court, the more it actually seemed like not that bad of an idea. As long as everybody was on the same page and it was a gradual process, like it would have to happen over many, many years. But the idea that, okay, if you have a 85 or 90-year-old justice who's been there 30, 40 years, all right, come on now. If you're still on there, then we get to nominate somebody new. All right. So yeah, you heard it here first. Mr. Beats for FDR's packing the courts. All right. From IBR, this is the last one on Twitter. Then I'll get to the questions on the stream. IBR, Mark Brown asked, if you could vote in an election before you were born, which would it be, and whom would you have voted for? I would vote. I would really want to vote for. At first, I wanted to say like 1912 election seems like one that would be a lot of fun. But the more I think about it, I'm just like, maybe because I liked Theodore Roosevelt in that election. I also like Eugene Debs though, for crying out loud. I'm not a communist, okay? But all four candidates were appealing in some point. I mean, obviously Woodrow Wilson was the worst of the four. I would probably not vote for him, but he wasn't that bad on the campaign trail. I'm sorry, Cypher. I know he hates him. And then, just thinking about like, I think most elections, it's really sad in American history, like that. You think about already who did win, and that kind of screws up your thinking with that question. And so, I will tell you, I got another question from E Pluribus Unum on the YouTube, and he said that who have you voted for in every election? I will not tell you who I voted for in every election, including primaries, because I voted in primaries. But I will tell you who I voted for the very first election I voted in, and that was in 2000. And I voted for Ralph Nader, and because I didn't really like Bush or Gore. I mean, I liked some of what they said, but not most of what they said. And of course, Nader got all that blame. And then I made that video a couple years ago saying, no, Nader wasn't the spoiler candidate. I still don't think he was. I think the spoiler effect is mostly something that's exaggerated, it's sensationalized, it's not. There's not a lot of evidence to back it up. It's a lot of speculation about human behavior, and human behavior is not as predictable as political scientists think it is, or psychologists for that matter. So, but here's the thing: I live in Kansas. I voted in Kansas back then. That was where I lived in also back then. The only other state I lived in was Nebraska. And yeah, the thing is, Bush was going to win Kansas. He was way ahead in the polls. And so, if you live in a state where it's not going to like if you live in a state where it's clear that the one candidate's going to win based on the polling, you might as well vote third party, because if they get to 5%, then they get additional funding. And the more political parties that are competing, the more competitive an election is in the future, the better democracy actually is, and I think the better candidates we have. Voting for the lesser of two evils for generations has given us just really unlikable candidates. All right, they get worse and worse and worse. We'll see what happens with 2020. All right, I want to go to the chat. I know you guys have been waiting patiently, so let's see. First of all, I got a super chat. So that Jake gets the first question. Thank you, Jake. And that's related to what I just answered. That's a little freaky. Thank you, Jake. So the super chat question from Jake is, what ideology is closest to your beliefs? I pride myself in not having an ideology. So in fact, I used to have an ideology when I was younger, and I think most younger people do, and most people hold on to those ideologies, I think, throughout their lives. But I think they're dangerous because it causes you to be short-sighted. My political beliefs really are all over the place. I mean, I think I always get called a libertarian, and that's probably the closest I guessed. But I'm not like. There's some issues like healthcare. Like, I think Medicare for all is definitely something that I could get jiggy with. So that does not complement libertarianism very well at all. So I do think there is a role for the state, even though the state is horrible. So, but it's the necessary evil. In the current times we live, at least, we can always be idealistic and shoot for, ideals that just we're not ready for now, but maybe eventually. But yeah, like I think I handle things when I make a decision about voting. I look at things on an issue by issue basis. And then also character means a lot to me too. If you have somebody running for political office, before I vote for them, I make sure they have good character. And that's another reason why it's been really disheartening the last few elections. We're like, wow, these are our choices. I hope that answered your question, Jake. I kind of was a non-politician answer though. It's like, he didn't really answer it, but that's because, yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, the closest was libertarianism. Let's just say that. Great. Now they're going to call me a libertarian. All right. Let's go up to all the chat questions. I'm going to start here with the first one that is I see. And that is Christian says, do you play Overwatch? No, I don't. I don't know much about it. Sorry. Okay. Oh, a little chat here about liking history. Oh, I love hearing Mr. Beat rant. Yeah. All right. What if you were born in 1903? I was not born in 1903. Okay. Zack Attacks says, would you be interested in doing a video series on Supreme Court justices every decade, or each time every most members were replaced? I think, okay, so a series on Supreme Court justices. I've actually been asked this before. I think it's a good idea. I just don't know if it would get a lot of views. Not that I always care about that. My Supreme Court briefs videos don't get the most views. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I think I'm more intrigued. I had a Patreon supporter suggest that I look at dictators throughout history, like especially little known dictators. That I think that might be something that I would be more interested in. Like the thing about Supreme Court justices is most of them aren't very interesting. Like John Marshall was pretty interesting because he basically was a big reason why the Supreme Court became relevant. But I don't know how exciting it would be. Sorry, Zack Attack. All right, I'm gonna move forward here. Oh, hi, Socratica. Yeah, and keep your questions coming. You guys talking about Alaska? All right. All right. I would love to know who your favorite author of history is. Are Doris Kearns Goodwin, Ron Chernow? Is it Chernow or Chernow? David McCulloch? Is it David McCulloch? I never say these names out loud. Yeah, David McCulloch is pretty good. I really like him. I got his Truman book. It was one of my favorite books I've ever read. I would probably go with him. Yeah, David McCulloch. All right. Shout out to Sis. Yeah. All right. Do you like Howard Zinn? Vladimir Lenin asked me that. The Vladimir Lenin? All right. Howard Zinn is okay. It's clear that when he wrote, A People's History, he had an agenda. I think a historian shouldn't have an agenda. Obviously, every historian has bias, and that guides their analysis and their thinking. But you gotta turn that down. Like, just give the facts and tell the facts in a way that's engaging and interesting. Sure, but like, you don't want to sound preachy even when you're just trying to share history. And I think there's other historians that do that as well, kind of in the same, uh, I guess, tradition as Zen. He kind of started like a new kind of wave of that, but he's all right. I mean, goodness, we need more history about common people. That's for sure. That is desperately needed. And I say that when most of my videos on my channel are political history videos looking at people in power. That's just my interest, but I do think that, yeah, we need to look more at the common folks. All right. He should do a video about Pythagoras. Pythagoras believed the beans were his parents and stole people's soul. Wow. I do have like a math history video in the works. It's been in the works for many weeks, many months actually, and it's going to be a song. So be looking for that. All right. Why do AP asks, why do U.S. citizens not go to Germany or other countries where education is free? That's a great question, AP. More and more Americans are doing this. I think especially in, what is it, Slovakia has a really good program there that kind of assists American citizens do that. I know Canubis Productions, Willie, I believe he's doing something like that in Germany. He's in Germany right now. Canubis, shout out to you. Willie, shout out to you. Yeah, I think it's a trend that's changing, especially since college is getting so ridiculously expensive. All right. Oh, Jake, yeah, sorry, I got your comment. He's only getting questions from YouTubers. I did super chat 10 minutes ago. Sorry. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Seeing a lot of comments here. People are apparently playing a drinking game. All right, that's first. That's a first. Mr. Meat, please interact with the chat. Okay. Do you think John Roberts says, do you think historical figures are more motivated by altruism or greed? I would say greed. I hate to be pessimistic, cynical on this, but greed has been argued to be a virtue by some. But if that means, I mean, think about it. We all want to survive. We all want to reproduce. We are animals. You need resources, man. You need to gather your resources so you can survive. And I think a lot of that's what first drives us, and then later you see the altruism later, like, oh, Andrew Carnegie is going to, or Carnegie, two pronunciations. Andrew Carnegie is going to give back and give all this money, donate to charity. Bill Gates is going to give back. You see that after they're billionaires, you know. All right, going down here. You remind me of my math teacher. He has a YouTube channel just like you. What's the channel? I'll have to check it out. All right. What are your thoughts? Warfox, shout out to Warfox. Warfox says, what are your thoughts on the French and Indian War? And if you were in that war, would you fight for the British or the French? Also, do you have plans on making a video on the Half King? I don't know what you mean. I don't even know what the Half King is. I guess I don't know that much about it. But no, like the French and Indian War, we just actually looked at that today in AP US history. We just wrapped that up, and I think that's a great question. I think the reason why I would go with the French is because the French, they did get along better with various tribes throughout North America. The British were more ruthless with them. So just for that fact alone, I think I would side with the French. All right. Keep going here. Let's see here. Mr. Beats superhero origin story. His PS2 was stolen. That's good HD, yes. Counter arguments is amazing, yeah. All right. Sorry it took me so long to answer these questions, guys. Radical centrist. Ooh, yeah, I've heard that term thrown at me before. Even North Korea. Yes, I would want to visit North Korea and all 50 states. Sorry, guys, it took me so long. If you've never been to Arkansas, don't go. Oh, come on. I love Arkansas, especially Northwest Arkansas. This person is from Russia. My English is not perfect. Thank you for subtitles in your videos and clear pronunciation. Well, wow. You know, that means a lot. I think his name is Mac. That means a lot, Mac, because I had a speech impediment when I was younger, and I really worked hard to make sure that I speak clearly and pronounce properly, so thank you. All right, we have a lot of people bragging about where they've been. Would you say Shrek, okay, K the Master, would you say Shrek is a libertarian? Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that movie a handful of times. I would agree. Japan, Lindsay, shout out to Lindsay. Japan is a beautiful place. I agree. Yeah. Have you ever been to Tampa? No, I have not. Iceland banking disaster. Greed. Yeah. I want to go to Iceland. Shrek is a Jeb Bush supporter. All right, going down here. Okay, Adam, who has a really long YouTube name. Adam, did you finish your Canada and USA combined video? Yeah, I think he meant compared. That's on my list of videos to eventually do, but it's not happening anytime soon, so. All right. Talking about Ralph Nader, talking about Norway. Paul says, hi, Mr. Beats. Can you do a video of the U.S. state high points? Did you mean by like elevation? Or like, oh, we got some more super chats. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, guys. So let's okay, super chat time. Thank you, guys. Okay, we've got Red Baron, who says, "Can you do a story on the Southern strategy?" Okay, a video, I assume, on the Southern strategy. Sure. I mean, I think there's are people out there who like. I think Knowing Better had a video about Southern strategy. He mentions it. Um, I think Will, the other Will that I know that does YouTube, the exploration, one of his early videos looked at that. But definitely, I can, especially since you donated on the super chat. I think I can look. I can seriously add Southern strategy to my list of upcoming videos. Thank you for the suggestion. And then another super chat, Luke. Luke Slow. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your last name, Luke. He says, "What is the solution to healing our social divide?" Now, gather around, grab your pillows. This is very important. This is how we heal the social divide. We listen to each other. We treat each other with respect. We look at each other in the eyes and we talk to them. We don't have to just communicate on social media. We can actually communicate in person. If you find you're getting hostile to a person on social media, that's the time to say, "Hey, let's go get a coffee." I think when you think about the hostility that's especially in the United States right now, a lot of it is we've become the other with a capital O. So when we think of scapegoating, which has happened throughout world history, scapegoating is now the other side, whatever side that is. So if we think of breaking down that barrier, and actually it always amazes me because when you do break down that barrier, you find out that most people have most things in common. Most people agree on most issues. There's just a few little things that people disagree on. But of course, the media highlights that because the media likes conflict. The media wants conflict because that's what gives them ratings. And ratings equals revenue thanks to selling ads. So we're not as divided as the media would want you to think. Also, remember that governments love it when people are divided. Governments love it when people are divided, especially on stupid petty issues like abortion. Let's get them divided on wedge issues. Like immigration. I think most people I'd actually agree on a reasonable immigration policy. Gun control, another wedge issue. These issues divide the people, and we hate each other instead of directing our anger at who's in charge. We look at Congress. We have a lot of people in Congress that have been there for decades. They've been there for decades, and we keep re-electing them. Why? Because it's not my guy. My guy's fine. My guy, it's those other guys. Those other guys are the problem. Then again, we're scapegoating the others. We're scapegoating California. We're scapegoating Texas, okay? Because that's the other with a capital O, the other. We don't know the other. So it's easy to marginalize and scapegoat them because we don't know them. But if we get to know each other, we listen to each other, we respect each other, then that's how this divide will heal. And what I'm seeing right now still is this country is just we have a lot of people that have just chosen a team, and they're going to stick with that team no matter what. And it doesn't matter what happens. They're sticking with their side. Your side is bad. My side is good. Stop being a member of a team. Okay. Treat others as individuals. Treat them with respect. I think if we didn't have political parties, I think we'd be a lot better. Just abolish political parties. I'm such a radical. Oh man, the light went out. I must mean we're running out of time. But no, it's okay. Any more? Okay, I got more super chats. Whoa, thank you guys for your generosity. Okay. Andrew Alt, A-U-L-T, Andrew says, "Hey, Mr. Beat, ever been to Michigan? If not, would you visit?" Well, I went to Michigan this past summer, actually, and I had a phenomenal time. So I'm sorry I missed you. took the whole family up there. I met my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and nephew. They live in Chicago, and so we all went up to Western Michigan, Grand Rapids. We went to Holland, the beautiful Lake Michigan. Kalamazoo, I love that little town. I would love to go back. So but yeah, that's so weird that you asked that. Do I know you? No. All right. And then another super chat for Audacious Robot. Shout out from Raleigh, North Carolina. Wow, that's not even a question. That was just shout out from Raleigh, North Carolina. When I researched North Carolina for that North Carolina versus South Carolina video, or South Carolina, North Carolina compared, I was fascinated by those two states. I kind of wanted to move to those two states after researching that video. Like both places seem like that's where it's hopping, and it's not too expensive yet, which is great. So maybe I'll move to Raleigh. Although Michigan is a very good cost of living too, and the only thing that scares me about Western Michigan especially are the winters, the snow. All right, I'm gonna go back to the regular chat. And where I left off was, see here. You agreed with FDR on something? Ryan Knight says that. Yeah, I know, right? That packing the court thing, I still can't believe I said that. What would be the point of stacking the court if everyone agreed with them? Not a real court. Oh, well, you're kind of missing the point there, Robert. Shout out to Robert reading through history. Check out his channel. No, like the whole point of not packing the court, but like increasing the court, justices in the court would be to put pressure on those who are there for 30 years. Like say, okay, we have justices on the court right now who are so out of touch with this country. And a lot of that is just purely because of technology, especially issues that deal with privacy. It worries me. All right. You need people that are in touch. Same problem you have with, these senators that are in their 80s. Goodness, they've been there since, some of them have been there since the 70s or since my whole life. Like, they're out of touch. Okay, let's get some new ideas. You've served some time. Thank you for your service. And so if you don't have term limits, maybe putting additional pressures. That's the only reason why I would have more justices than 9. And it wouldn't happen in a current term. It'd have to be future terms after that. The people that voted for it were in office. After they were in office is when it went into effect. Okay, Robert? Okay. Should the Gregory W. Alex Jones Exiles, best name ever. I remember you, Gregory. You're usually pretty mean to me, but I still love you watching. Should the federal government ban social media censorship? Oh, like ban censorship? Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a good, interesting question. I hate censorship. That's like the worst thing ever. You notice I don't censor the comments on my anti-Semitism video. Let those idiots be heard. Okay, let those horrible comments be seen so we can fix these people. But yeah, should the government step in to ban? See that, but then how would they define what censorship is? It's a slippery slope. I don't know if I would go that far, but I am strongly against censorship. Okay. Thomas O'Malley, you make a good point. I think we should just scrap the Supreme Court altogether. Why should 9 people or even 5 people who aren't elected get to decide all our laws? Well, here's the thing, Thomas. They're not supposed to decide all of our laws. They're supposed to be a what if branch. What if, like last resort, okay? Who decides the laws? Congress, legislative branch, okay? All right. Stalking horse, shout out to you. So do you want Ginsburg to step down? I mean, who are we going to get in her place? That's what's scary, right? Let's see. We'll keep going. Who was the best dictator in history? Leopold says this. Oh, I'm not saying Leopold is the best dictator in history, by the way. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I don't want to. That can make me sound really bad. 1824, vote Henry Clay. Henry Clay, man, he should have been president. He got the raw end of the deal. Poor Henry Clay, the great compromiser. He was a stud muffin. All right. Oh, there we go. Someone already said Leopold. Leopold Kovat Tito. All right. G. Marcelo says, who will Democrats nominate in 2020? I think they're going to have two routes to go. They can go the Bernie route, Bernie Sanders, which actually might be Bernie Sanders. And in that camp, I would have people like Elizabeth Warren, and you'd have Tulsi Gabbard in that camp as well. And then you have kind of the more mainstream establishment Democrats, and that would be like Harris, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, I would say, was in that. So they have two routes. I think if they were smart, they would go with the more populist route if they want to have a chance to win. All right. Let's see if I don't want to miss anybody here. Okay. Scrolling down. Thomas says, what if Huey Long survived and became president? Ooh, that would be crazy. He was more left-wing than FDR was. So I think, he was definitely a populist, and he would have been like Theodore Roosevelt on steroids, I think. But he also, he was a bit kind of hard to get along with, a bit ruthless to political opponents. So who knows how divided we would have become if Huey Long did become president. I think that would have been far-fetched, though. He was pretty radical. All right. Let's see here. Radical centrist confirmed. Okay, Nicholas says, do you like or dislike Barack Obama? I like some of what he did. I dislike other things he did. And you can tell that by listening to my song, the Barack Obama song. Check it out. I try to be as objective as possible with him. It's hard when you live through a presidency, which is why I'm probably, after Trump's out of office, I'm going to give it some time before I make a song about him, because I don't want to, let emotions jump in there when this is something that's supposed to be around for historical purposes. Okay. All right. Next question. I'm trying to see here. What is Alexander Wen? What is your opinion of the Hobby Lobby decision? I remember reading about it when it first was decided. I want to make a video about this. I was just thinking about this just today, actually, about making a video about the Hobby Lobby decision. I tend to lean towards the employee on this one, but I can see both sides. You got to be careful with. They're a private company. We're talking about religious beliefs, and yes, there's a slippery slope, though. So, but I still kind of lean with the employee on that one. All right. Scrolling down, I'm almost getting to the present here. Texas versus Florida. Somebody asked. Actually, Florida versus Georgia is coming up here. Hopefully in November. So Texas, I would probably be. I'll probably end up comparing Texas to California. That seems like the most logical choice. Okay, let's see here. The United States says, guys, rank the presidents and don't ignore me. All right. Is Shrek libertarian? Someone else asked that again. I already answered that. Brother Meat is noticing us now. Debray, yes, I am. Reading through history, still with us. Robert, yeah, shout out to you. I miss you, man. No one can win in the Electoral College that way. We are a republic. I'm not sure what he's referring to. Oh, the swing. But yes, we are a republic. First and foremost, we are a republic. Two-party system. Yeah. All right. I'm getting closer here. Oh, Neil. Hey, Neil. Shout out to Neil, my former student. My first year at Aubrey Bend Middle School in Overland Park, Kansas. Yeah, he's all grown up now. Neil says, why do you think a lot of these elections have been, quote, the lesser of two evils? Yes, because of the two-party system. Unfortunately, because two political parties have all the power, all the money, they shut out the debates, they don't let a third party candidate on unless they have 15% and consistently in the polls, and that is not going to happen because third parties don't have money. They can't, unless you have like a billionaire run as a third party, like Ross Perot did in 1992 and 96. It's just going to be really hard. And to get rid of that two-party system, lesser of two evils thing, you're going to have ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is the way we need to go. We need a constitutional amendment to abolish the Electoral College, in my opinion, and to have ranked choice voting. I got another thought about another thing, question about Howard Zinn, which I already answered earlier. Mr. Beat is an Alex Jones type libertarian. I've never been called that before. Do you know where Aleppo is? Stalking Horse asked that. Yes, I do. I do. It's in Syria. That poor city. What are some future, Evan asks, what are some future comparison videos you'll do? I already mentioned Florida versus Georgia. Robert has wanted me to do, I think it's a great suggestion that's been on my mind as well, but India, Pakistan, which would probably be a longer video, an epic video. I'm going to do North Dakota and South Dakota. And I already mentioned Texas, California. I'm still open to suggestions, though. I don't want to, as far as cities, Paris and London, and I'm hoping to be collaborating again with M.Laser on that one. You sound like a politician. And Anthony says you sound like a politician. Sorry. That was cold, Anthony. That was cold. Milk Assassin 34, haven't heard from you in a while. Will you make a video about Wounded Knee? That's been on my list for 4 or 5 years to make a video about Wounded Knee. So sooner or later, I'm going to get to it. You asking that actually has made it enter the front of my brain again. So thank you for saying that. Okay, let's see. I'm finally getting to the end here. All right. Yes, I'm not the Alex Jones type. When you finally build a motorway between Oslo and Bergen, when will you finally build a motorway between Oslo and Bergen, by the way? Ebrey says, I'm confused. Thomas says New York versus Pennsylvania. That's a good suggestion. Iran and Turkey. Well, since I already covered, I'm sorry. It's Iran. It's Iran, Mr. Beat. Iran and Turkey. Probably not going to happen because I just compared Iran and, ooh, it sounds dirty saying it that way. Now I sound like a politician. Iran and Saudi Arabia. If I'm going to compare Turkey, I think I'd probably compare Turkey and I'm thinking maybe another European country. Well, is Turkey, is that part of Asia or is it part of Europe? I mean, European Union. Come on now. You could compare Turkey to a lot of countries. Syria. I mean, shoot. Greece. I don't know. But yeah, it's mostly Muslim though. I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud. Minnesota versus Wisconsin is going to happen. Compare neighborhoods in Lawrence. No, because that would probably give too much information about my life. Gumi says, are you going to cover obscure parties like the anti-administration party or vegetarian party ever? Maybe if Emperor Tiger Star, maybe him and I will do that again. We like to look at those obscure political parties. It's just kind of give us the idea of the other one. Ryan says Iran from Iran. That's I love jokes like that. And then we got a bunch of suggestions. Luke says, do you think the U.S. will ever have a second Enlightenment period? Is that possible in this day and age? I think yes. I think it's going to happen when we're able to read each other's thoughts, which is probably going to happen within 40 or 50 years. We'll be able to read each other's thoughts thanks to technology, which is really creepy to think about. But I think that's when the second Enlightenment comes. We got another super chat. Yes, thank you, Andrew. All right, this is exciting. Okay, Andrew Alt again. Thank you again, man. You're so generous. Okay, he says, Mr. Beat, if you become president, which I think you should run. I would vote for you. Would you detail the election 20 whatever you won? I won becoming the 40-something president and write your own presidential song. Okay, I do not ever want to run for president. Okay, that seems like it'd be the worst job ever, which is kind of crazy for me to say, considering I I'm fascinated by presidents. Like I've always been fascinated by presidential history. I think mostly because it just elevates ordinary people who really aren't that ordinary, but they're catapulted into this attention and just everything on them, the most powerful position in the world. I don't think I would ever want to do it. I'm sorry. If the only office I'd ever run for legitimately would be some kind of representative at the state level or maybe Congress, and even then, like, ugh, oh yeah, all right, but yeah, if I run for president in 2030, was it going to be 2032? Then yes, I will write a song about myself. I might have people help me. Okay, back to the questions. All right, Vermin Supreme. I love Vermin Supreme. Okay, are you saying Europe has to be only Christian, not multicultural? James Norris. Ooh, you're getting salty. No, goodness, no. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying. Usually, when I compare countries, I try to see what they have. Like, first look at what they have in common, and try to do a twist. Well, actually, they don't have this in common at all. Like, so I think Turkey. It's hard to compare it to one country because it's at a crossroads between Europe and really the Middle East, and so yeah. I was just thinking out loud when I said Muslims. Don't look into that. All right. Spencer says, "What do you think of Kavanaugh?" I figured this question might come up. Kavanaugh is, as far as the allegations, you've got to. I wish there would have been a true investigation. I wish we would have more evidence. Um, I'm going to suspend judgment on what happened with that. But that said, watching the Kavanaugh hearing, Kavanaugh was disturbing to me. Like, he was too political. He was like talking about how it was a conspiracy by the Clintons to is the reason why these allegations were coming forward. And then just the fact he was so emotional, like, dude, calm down. You're supposed to be on the highest court in the land. So he did not impress me with those hearings. That put a really bad taste in my mouth. Plus, he's a very, very conservative dude. And again, political. So that scares me. Okay. Not saying I like some conservative ideas. Okay. I do. But all right. Going on here. I better wrap this up here soon. I'll probably go for 10 more minutes if you're watching, just joined. Minnesota versus Wisconsin is happening. My sister-in-law is from Wisconsin, the Green Bay area, and so I definitely have to get her opinion before I dive into that one. Joe Julio / random Asian. You said all your questions got skipped. I'm sorry. Please ask them again before we go. Joe Julio. Okay, I'm so sorry. All right. Someone says, can you do a vid on the Muslim conquest of West and South Asia? I actually had that planned a long time ago when I was teaching world history. Like there's these ancient empires, like the Safavids, and yeah, like definitely. Thanks for putting that back on my radar. Thomas says, who is the most famous person you've met? I met the rent is too damn high guy twice. The most famous person I ever met, probably RuPaul. I met RuPaul. I actually, my wife and I got to spend some time with RuPaul back in 2004. So I guess that counts. Let's see here. Is Europe even a separate continent? Yes, it is, Evan. Kyle the Jellyman Pro says, Mr. Beat, can you please name off your 20 to 11 of best presidents? Well, I have my best presidents video. Oh, I see what you're saying. So 11 through 20. 11 would probably be Abraham Lincoln. 12 would probably be, oh gosh, I went back and forth on that one. I know Franklin Roosevelt's in my top 20 probably. I'm really all over the place. I don't want to do it on the spot. I want to spend some time thinking about this but I do know 11 would be Abraham Lincoln. And I left Abraham Lincoln off on a little bit on purpose of that list to be a bit provocative. And so many comments, so many people mad that how could you leave Abraham Lincoln off your top 10 greatest presidents list? And I kind of expected that. What can I say? All right. What's your favorite? Milk Assassin 34 says, "What's your favorite president song that you've made?" I would have to say either the Grover Cleveland song or the Lyndon Johnson song. Those are the two that I think turned out the best. Sometimes they just turn out better. Ryan Knight says, which presidential candidate would have been one of the greatest presidents if elected? Let's see here. I mean, do I want to say Clay? Yeah, Clay. Clay would be the one probably. He would have been pretty darn good, I think. Did McRiddles one says, did Trump collude with Russia? I'm going to sound like a politician here and wait until the investigation is complete before I make my opinion. Before I make an opinion formed on this. Okay. All right. Oh, hey, Jackson Winfrey Project from Kansas City. I'm hoping to become a teacher at my school, Oak Park High School. I've been to Oak Park. I actually went to some tennis tournaments there a few years back when I used to coach tennis. What are your tips on being a teacher? Well, you have to be somebody that gets along with people and you love people, and I think somebody who doesn't get so uptight about things going wrong. You have to be flexible because things never go exactly as you planned. But speaking of plans, you got to be good at planning. You got to map it all out. You have to be good at many different things to be a teacher. So a teacher doesn't have anybody assisting them. They are basically it's like running a business in some ways, and you're really isolated. So leaning on the support of other teachers online or when you can in the building, you don't get a lot of time for that though, unfortunately. That will help you. But just, you have to be passionate about history, which if you're watching this right now, I'm assuming that you are. Besides the Electoral College, what amendments would you do? I think so I mentioned ranked choice voting. I think gerrymandering, an amendment to end that. I used to think term limits, but now I have second thoughts. I read a book that kind of changed my mind on that. Let's see. That's all I can think of right now, but I'll get back to you on that. Uh-oh, I lost my spot. Okay, I only have a few more minutes. I'll be doing this. I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, reading through history, yeah. Lincoln, the worst president ever, yeah. Okay. Who won the War of 1812? Hint, hint, it's Canada. Depends on who you ask. Yep, if you're Canadian, it was Canada. If you're an American, it was the United States. I mean, well, not Canada. Canada didn't exist back then, Mr. Beat. That was the United Kingdom, you nitwit. Why are the Balkans, John says, why are the Balkans always so messed up? I think part of the reason why, I don't want to dig deep in this, is very complex. That's too complex of a question, but you do have to look at the different nations there. There's a lot of nations, all that have been dominated by superpowers around them historically. So that often used as pawns, proxy wars there, stuff like that. So I think that explains a lot of it. Starving Boy in Africa. Oh, what a username that is. Thoughts on Chinese actress Bing Bing getting caught on tax evasion? I know nothing about that, but you should probably pay your taxes. James Norse, that's not a question. Kyle the Jellyman Pro says, do you think George H.W. Bush should have gotten a second term? Oh, he was he was all right as a president. He wasn't that as bad as people. I mean, he says New World Order. People got all crazy about him, but he looks pretty darn good compared to presidents since him. So, I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, he still was kind of your typical out of touch politician, I think, and that kind of put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. Besides the tax thing, raising taxes, and read my lips, no new taxes. Okay. All right. All right. Looking for the next oh yeah. Everybody always brings up "They Might Be Giants." James K. Polk. That is a good song. My music gets compared to "They Might Be Giants" all the time. By the way, that's who I get compared to more than any other artist out there. Eric Vale. White Room is talking trash on Eric Vale. JKB, hey! Can you do Tennessee v. Gardner and Castle Rock v. Gonzalez? I have both of those, I think, on my big list of court cases to look at in the future. But thanks for bringing those up. What are your opinions? Irish Setter Gamer says, what are your opinions about Nike's Kaepernick Just Do It ad? They're a private company. They can do what they want. They knew it'd be controversial. They knew that it'd be people probably burning their Nikes and protesting. And from what I read, it hasn't hurt them so much so far. In fact, they think their sales have gone up. So, all right. G. Marcello says, did the Armenian genocide really happen? Yes, it happened. I think the arguments are, how bad was it, is where there's people that tend to argue on that. But I don't know enough about it. I know it happened. Then again, I could just be a sheep. All right. Connor. Hey, good to see you, Connor. It's been a while. Connor Higgins. When was the moment that you definitely realized that you wanted to go into education? When I was a manager I was a valet manager well, this was in Omaha, Nebraska, and I just really liked being a manager, working with like younger people, and kind of I was like, hey, I can do this. I've always liked history. When I was a senior in high school, my mom said I should be a teacher, and I said, Mom, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't like high school. Why would I want to do that? So, I think that separation, being out of school, like made me realize, oh, maybe I could see myself doing that. But even if I wasn't teaching high school, I'd be teaching something. Like, I just loved it. And I'm like the Adam ruins everything guy. Unfortunately, a lot of times I'm always like, oh, but actually, and I'm sorry, I can really ruin parties. That's just who I am. All right, vote Washington in 1789. Heck yeah, Irish Setter Gamer. Oh, Joe Julio, random Asian. Your opinion on Minecraft and Roblox? Minecraft is that's always fascinated me. How I think Minecraft is one of the best things ever. I never played personally. I don't know much about Roblox, but I think Minecraft is one of the things that gives me hope for the future. How successful it's been. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here. Maybe. Oh, thanks, White Room. Sander says, what country outside the USA would you have lived in? Iceland or Canada? Would you ever move to Boston? Boston's amazing. My parents just went there about a month ago, but it's just too expensive is the problem. So maybe if I was a millionaire. Oh, Lindsay says, did you find that girls are less interested in history than boys? And if so, why do you think that is the case? Yes. If you look at the demographics of my channel and look at most of you right now in the chat, you identify as male. And that is because that's how it's always been with social studies for some reason. Now, there's different theories about why this is. But to answer your question specifically, yes, girls are less interested, and I'm trying to change this. I guess that was your question. Why do you think this is the case? I don't know. I think mostly because a lot of times people are drawn into history by the exciting things, and the most exciting things in history, probably for most people, is the military history. And military history is usually going to be geared more towards boys. That's just kind of how it's been. So maybe that explains a lot of it. Will you live stream on election night? That's a great idea. I think I might do that. That's also my birthday. Yeah. Do you feel like that teaching digital citizenship literacy in a standard Commodore Entertainment says, do you feel that teaching digital citizenship literacy in a standard history class is beneficial to students? Soon to be teacher asking. All right, way to see these future teachers in the audience. I love it. Absolutely. They need to learn how to navigate what's online. I force my students in government class to go to different sources that they never go to get information, and they're all assigned different sources. Researching especially, they really struggle with that. When they Google stuff, they don't know how to Google stuff, and when they find sources, they trust sources they shouldn't trust, stuff like that. So extremely important. All right, we'll take a couple more questions here. Oh, Kyle, yeah, it is expensive. Oh, what percentage of your subscribers are male and what percentage are female, Thomas? Yeah, it's I think it's about 91, 92% male, last I checked. Socialization is a big part, and in my opinion, I would probably agree with that. History channels are, yeah. Oh, thank you, Blackhawk. Yeah, I appreciate your support, and thanks. Congrats on 50K. Yeah. Was Common Core a success or a flop? I think it was better than No Child Left Behind. It's still a work in progress. I think we're already seeing it's better, and it's helping kids become more. They're becoming better critical thinkers. They're not having the as much content knowledge, which is what you trade off of. But Google Scholar, yeah. Hey, Neil is still around. Yeah, Google Scholar is phenomenal. Yeah, I that's what I used when I was in grad school, actually, and it's never too early to have your own students, even middle school, use that as a way to research. Oh, all right. Well, who was your favorite teacher? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Mr. Emmett. What do you like more, Apple or Windows? I use a Mac to make all my videos, but I have Android phones always. Windows is I'm not a big fan. Barack Obama, do you miss me? Abolish the Department of Education. Flame Fusion says that. You know what? I think it'd be fine. I think we would manage. The states would manage fine. Call me crazy. It didn't exist before 1979. What is your favorite interstate highway, Mr. Beat? Shout out to 70, Interstate 70. Takes me to the Colorado Rockies. Oh, yeah. You guys should tell Cody from Alternate History Hub to collaborate with me. I've never actually chatted with him. He has a great channel. And, oh, your brother's not a fan of Common Core. Will you ever do more videos on military history? I mean, yeah, I still like military history. I have on my master list of video ideas, I have some things on there. So yeah, definitely. It's just not going to be. It's not going to be as much as you see on most history channels, I would say. Will you? When is your next upload? It will be next Friday. It's a Supreme Court briefs video. Finally returning with that. What do you think about the recent tension between U.S. and China and the South China Sea? I think it's probably overblown. I don't think it's as big a deal. I think it's mostly political. All right. This will be the last question I answer. I'm sorry, but I'm getting tired here, and it's been getting closer to 2 hours. Do you like pineapple on pizza or no? No, I don't. But I do love pineapple, but just not on pizza. No. All right, then. Woo! That was no other super chat. Okay, I think I've answered quite a bit of questions. I want to thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for putting up with my ridiculous hat and this. It's been a lot of fun doing this. before I go, I want to remind you that there is another live stream coming on Sunday. So in 3 days, yes, 3 days, uh, I am doing a collaboration with Knowing Better, Will from Knowing Better. Yeah, he's a big deal now. And he has a video about Columbus that is one of the best videos on YouTube. It's going to kind of spark our conversation, and we're going to be joined by Cogito, Jack Rackham, let's see, M.Laser, and Stefan Milo. It's an all-star ensemble, and we're all going to be talking about Christopher Columbus and just how he is perceived today, and it's always fascinating to kind of go down that route of like looking at how he is demonized, but also how he still has a holiday. He still gets that holiday, which is on Monday. So the live stream will be Sunday the day before, and I'll be right back here with my friends. So thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for watching all of my videos and for subscribing. It means so much. I would like to do this as a career someday. I like to do this full time. So I like to think that I might have a chance when I see that you're here, you're watching, and it means so much. This is what it's all about. So I love you, and well, I mean, in the platonic kind of way. And woo, 50,000. Thanks again. We'll see you guys later.